All right, that's on. That's on. Testing. Yep. Okay. Okay then. Yes, hello, Anita. Let's see, just giving time for anyone else to show up. Yes. Okay, I guess we'll go and get started. So, welcome back to another Disney Watch Along, everyone. And today we'll be taking a look at the company's 20th animated film, and that being the Aristocats. So we're basically entering what I think some would call the dark age for Disney, or well, I guess their first dark age. So this was around when their films weren't exactly doing as well as their previous films when Walt was alive. So, but even then, some of their films from this era would eventually gain a cult following. And I'll admit this used to be one of my favorites as a kid, but of course I was a little kid. And nowadays people look at this as one of the weaker Disney films. So, but we'll see how that is after this revisit. So let me go ahead and get this going. All right. Okay, everyone ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I guess in a way, but the thing is, a lot of people accuse Gay Puree for ripping off the Aristocats without realizing Gay Puree was released 8 years before this movie. And I can't really say. So then I guess that would make people think, oh, so Disney ripped off Gay Puree then. Well, I wouldn't say that either. I mean, yes, they're both animated musicals involving cats in Paris, and there's a romance, but that's really all there is to it. The plots are still very different from each other, so you can't really call it a ripoff. Yeah, that's what I just said. Both films were set in Paris. Oh yeah, I forgot Scatman Crothers voices Scat Cat, although I guess that does make sense. It's in the name. Yeah, we'll be getting to Ants and A Bug's Life one day when we do the Pixar and DreamWorks films. That's definitely a whole interesting debacle between those two. Yeah, I had this on VH too. I mean, I used to have most of the Disney classics on VHS because we were VHS collectors. Directed by Wolfgang Reitman. Paris 1910. Wow. Yeah, same guy who directed Jungle Book, yep. So I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thought this, but does anyone think the owner of Duchess and her kittens looks a bit like Lady Tremaine? I mean, I guess it was a maybe it was just a the way their hair is done and all that. I guess it's just a popular trend back then. Yeah, I've heard about that regarding Key movie. I mean, don't you just love the old fashioned cars that had like the stick shifts and whatnot as their brakes? That just goes to show you the time period this film is set in. Yeah, I know. I noticed that Dutch is voiced by Eva Gabor, who would later do Miss Bianca. Oh, you mean the little white kitten? I mean, I guess in terms of characters of the Aristocats, I tend to notice her a lot in the merchandise. Yeah, we're this particular era especially was known for reusing a lot of the animation from previous Disney films, as we'll definitely see in our next film after this one. Yes, yes, Robin Hood will be the next film after this. You have to say, like whether you agree this movie is not great or underrated or whichever you think. I think most people agree that Edgar is one of Disney's weaker villains. He's just it's hard to take him that serious. He's not that threatening and just not very memorable in the long run of Disney baddies. I mean, there's a party that wants to feel bad for Edgar because this money and all that. Like he's such a hardworking butler, but yet this money's going to her cats, which yeah, that's a really dumb plot point. Like, really, like what are cats supposed to do with money? They can't even make their own bank accounts, so it's I mean, the voice actor does Edgar does a pretty good job, but ladies don't start fights. Yeah, right. It's been a while since I watched the Nostalgia Critics the first Disney December series, but I do remember he was not a fan of the Aristocats. A lot of people aren't fans of this movie. And like I get that it's not as strong as some of their later films, but to say that I'm not kidding when I say I've seen people declare this to be the worst film in the Disney animation library. And I'm thinking, really? Worse than Chicken Little or Home on the Range or Ralph Breaks the Internet? Or Strange World or Wish. I'm just saying, I think Disney has made worse than this. I mean, personally, I guess I've noticed a lot of people just aren't fans of Disney's smaller scale stories. You know, the ones that aren't like big major adventures, they're just these smaller stories. And that's a shame because I actually don't mind the smaller stories. Sometimes they're just nice little comfort films. Granted, I agree this is probably one of the weaker, smaller scale story Disney films, but even then, it's still fine for what it is. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen The Wild in forever, but I'll admit as a kid I liked the film, but looking back, yeah, it's not good. Yeah, the kittens are cute, but then again, that's the thing with classic animation like this. They always animate animals, like cats and dogs, cuter than they are in real life. Okay, one thing I will say is I do find the music in this movie to be kind of forgettable. I mean, aside from the obvious, the whole "Everybody Wants to Be a Cat" song. I think it's the one song everyone remembers the most from this movie. Because aside from that, the rest of the songs that are just not that memorable. Like, I'll be honest, the only reason I remember this song is because of the Disney sing-along VHS tape I used to own that would play it. I mean, the score is good. It's just the songs themselves are just kind of not that catchy for the most part. Like, if I ever did my top like 10, 20, 30, maybe even 50 favorite Disney songs, I doubt any of the songs from this movie would make that list. Yeah. Gosh, they act like my cats when it's time to eat. They get really excited. Yeah. I have two cats. They're outdoor cats, but they know when it's time for breakfast and dinner. And we finally meet Roquefort, voiced once again by Sterling Holloway. Yep. Yeah, Sterling Holloway just had that voice that is so just works well with animation, I think, with him and Phil Harris and a few others. Yeah, well, Thompson was another one. It's Panama. Kind of a rickety old bike you got there, Edgar. Yeah, don't go past the police. And the background animation looks really good. I mean, with all the detail of the houses and the trees and all that. Yeah, that looks like a painting. And we got these two dogs, Napoleon and Lafayette. These two are actually kind of funny. Yeah, funny. The two actors that voice these dogs would reappear in Robin Hood up next. Yeah, these bits with Edgar and the dogs, it's basically feels like a Looney Tunes skit. Again, I wouldn't know that because I don't watch those adventure videos that people do. Surprised that the little carrier's still able to go despite only having one wheel. And now the cats are all alone. But yeah, I do agree. I think the scenes with the dogs are kind of the funnier bits of the film, even though you could take them out of the film and not much would really change from the story. I think they're just there to add filler, even though you could have had more scenes to flesh out these characters, I guess, but you know how it is. Hey, you're just lucky that wasn't an African bullfrog. Otherwise, your son would have been lunch. Yeah. Yeah, I know about the reason animation Jungle Book. You don't have to repeat that. Yeah, about that, madam. So Nancy Culp is the voice of Madame. I mean, I guess I don't recognize her voice anything else. So, oh, the voice of the horse. Okay, well, it's just that we haven't seen Frou again yet. So, gotta give Roquefort some credit. He's a brave little mouse to go on a storm. Let's try to find them. And lucky for Tetris, they meet Thomas O'Malley, once again voiced by Phil Harris. Yep, voiced by Baloo. Okay, that makes a little more sense. The voice of Madame was in Mary Poppins. It definitely sounds like someone from that movie. Something you do have to give this film credit for is how in a lot of films you have that typical narrative of like you have a character who's from an upper class, like rich place, and are thrown into an environment where they have to fend for themselves and they have to rely on help on someone who is from a lower class. But they act so snobbish about it because they believe them being rich and all that they're higher above than the lower class. I'm glad they don't do that with this movie. Like Duchess already is very very kind and I guess friendly towards O'Malley, despite him being a cat of the streets. Yeah, Phil. It's funny. Phil Pharaohs is in three Disney films in a row between Jungle Book, Aristocats, and then Robin Hood. Oh yeah, he is in Rockadoodle. I guess we'll know when I decide to eventually go to the Don Bluth movies. That'll be an interesting experience. Yes, O'Malley. She's a single mom. Yeah, yeah, we'll see a real magic carpet many years later. Still got a ways to go until we get to the Disney Renaissance, but yeah. I think for most people, when they name their favorite era of the Disney animated films, it's the Disney Renaissance. Like I feel like Disney really hit their peak in the '90s. Like that was them at their best, and I doubt we'll ever get another era like that. At least not anytime soon. I think most people miss the '90s and early 2000s. This is when Disney was at its best, most creative, and most experimental. I mean, they've made some good stuff in the 2010s, and I wouldn't be surprised if they reused Jasper and Horace's van to make this milk van. Yeah, Disney really went down the drain in the 2020s. I mean, I'll be honest, I still have not seen Encanto, and I've heard really good things about that movie. But aside from that film, most of their other films have just been either mediocre or just really bad. Well, okay, Zootopia 2 is actually really good, but poor Madame. Yeah, Thomas O'Malley has some really funny, like, cat screeches. He said, "Sad day for all of us, except for one." Peter Renaday voiced the milkman, huh? Ow. Cream. Whatever the cat loves. Yeah, well, Duchess, that's the lesson to learn that not all humans are as kind as your owner. Yeah, so we seem to be losing quite a few iconic Disney actors in recent years, but that's just age for you. Yeah, Toulouse definitely is a tough little cookie. Man, Mally really is a brave cat. Most cats would never want to deliberately jump in the water, but he sure does. I mean, don't know what Thomas would be doing in London since he should be on Sodor, which I believe is meant to be off the coast of the United Kingdom. But and we get the geese. Cats are capable of swimming. It's just that they don't like water, unless it's a fishing cat or a jaguar or a tiger. So that's Maid Marian Lady Cluck's voice actress doing the geese. Well, geese is plural, so I love their tails form a question mark there. I mean, O'Malley could have said something worse. He could have called you both loons. Okay, I will admit the film at this point kind of slows down a little. So Bill Thompson is another one of those actors that had quite the distinct voice. Le Petit Café. And here's Uncle Waldo. That's something you won't see in a modern Disney film. Characters getting drunk. Yeah. Again, like I just said, Disney had a thing for getting their characters drunk back then, but again, you won't see that nowadays. Or even doing some of the symbols drinking wine, like Mrs. Elastigirl in Incredibles 2. Okay, first of all, you geese didn't even say goodbye to the cats, and secondly, really, Duchess, that's a weird thing to say. Funnier when they're marinated. I don't know. That just sounds a little weird. Again, give Roquefort credit. He's a brave little mouse. Now we get Edgar versus the dogs, part two. Seriously, Edgar, you couldn't find like less squeakier shoes. Also, what made Edgar? I mean, I get the idea is that he knows the dogs live in this area, but what made him think that the dogs would actually take his stuff? I mean, yeah, he ends up being right, but still. Hmm. Yeah, Pat Buttram was another big name voice actor of this era for Disney and other, animation works. So yeah, Okay. Odd getaway vehicle, Edgar. Back with the cats. Yeah, we kind of spend a lot of time with that bit for a while. Which again, I guess is a criticism people have with this movie is that there's so much time spent on these dogs that really has nothing to do with the main story. Like the cats never meet these dogs, so well, I know cats and dogs don't get along in animation. I know that, but like I'm just saying it's and here comes the iconic song of the movie. I guess the ratio is aspect of the film is different. It's not like widescreen or full screen like the past Disney film. It's kind of that, or at least the copy I have here on Blu-ray. It's a decent song overall. It's probably the most memorable song in the movie. It's not one of my personal favorite Disney songs in the grand scheme of things. Ah, yes, the racist cat in this movie. Oh boy, what can you do? It's old Disney, so and yeah, voiced by the actor who would voice Tigger. Yeah, You sure the neighbors that don't hear any of this? And there goes the piano. Yeah, I could tell that was Thor Ravencroft as the cat with the giant bass, I guess. Well, after all that. I will say, I think the romance between Duchess and Amalia is actually kind of wholesome. Not gonna lie, I think they're probably one of the, I would say, one of the more underrated Disney couples that aren't don't get brought up as much. Yeah, I honestly forgot Scott McCraw voiced Scat Cat, but looking back, I guess it's obvious. Yeah, you already mentioned Lord Tim Hudson, so yeah, I saw your comment. I just didn't really have anything to say. That's all. Yeah. Don't say that too soon, O'Malley. I mean, you think Dutch is something how kind Madame is. She probably wouldn't mind having O'Malley live with them, which yes, they do eventually. But Yeah, this would be an interesting movie to go see in theaters on Christmas Eve night. Robert Richard Sherman. I mean, obviously, the Sherman brothers did a lot of the music for this era of Disney. I mean, I've seen the documentary, The Boys, the Sherman Brothers story. I think he was drinking too much. But yeah, from what I understand, even though The Jungle Book was the last film Walt, I guess, worked on or something, this was the last film that he approved of, supposedly. So yeah, it's funny. The guy thought he was drank too much, seeing a mouse chasing the cats. Kind of makes you wonder why Edgar didn't think of this in the first place. But yeah, I just feel like Edgar didn't think through his plans that clearly throughout this film. And Scat Cat to the rescue. Okay, that's pretty funny. Little breaking the fourth wall bit. Hmm. Yeah, I saw your comments, but yeah, I know that they reuse the animation. You have to repeat it again and again. Yeah, I guess this did the dance party before Shrek did. All right, the end. And that was the Aristocats. Well, let's hold on a second. Turn that on for a second. Overall, okay, maybe it's not one of the Disney greats per se. I wouldn't put up there like with the other Disney classics, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it's one of the absolute worst. It's just fine. It's an average film. It's a 6, maybe a soft 7 out of 10 at best for me. Like, it still has some good animations and good voice acting, a few comedic moments, but it's just fine for what it is. It's an average movie. But next time we'll have a much more fun time in Nottingham, as you'll know. So hope y'all enjoy this watch on, and I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. So later.